YouTube. Let's rock.
And here we go.
It's the Benjamin Dixon Show.
Your mission, should you choose to accept it, is
not merely peace in our time, but peace in all time.
I have no fear whatsoever of anybody or anything.
Did you think no one was watching?
Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere.
your mission.
Suppose we go where no man has gone before.
To reclaim the American dream,
To be given the right of human beings to be afforded equal rights and equal opportunities. By any means necessary.
It's the Benjamin Dixon Show. If you're hearing his voice, you're hearing the voice of reason.
You've certainly come to the right place.
Welcome. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Benjamin Dixon Show. It is Thursday, September 17, 2015. And contrary to popular belief, I am not late because of a hangover. We had a hell of a time last night. I just want to say we thank everyone for joining us. Quite a few people tuned in. I think we're up to like 4,000 views on our debate, live debate watching. We had quite a few people watching live. And thanks to April Rain, Rihanna, Pygos, Kevin Moses, and Frederick Wilson for joining me last night. We had a really good time, a lot of fun, but that's not why I'm late this morning. I'm late this morning because I was locked out doing my morning runs and got locked out. And so I'm here. And it wasn't because of how much fun we had last night, but we really had a good time. I tell you what was not fun. The debate wasn't fun. It was long and drawn out. And it just was not as entertaining as the Fox News debate. And that should make sense to everyone because Fox News knows how to get ratings and Fox News knows how to put on a show. They know how to entertain us. But here's the thing. CNN's debate was not as entertaining, nor was it substantive. So it's like you have to give us one or the other. Either give us some entertainment so we could have a bunch of laughs, and they had some one-liners and some singers and all this kind of stuff. But I don't know. It just wasn't that entertaining, and it wasn't that worthwhile watching. If I wasn't watching with friends, and if we weren't debating it amongst ourselves, then I probably would not have watched the entire. Guaranteed, I would not have watched the entire debate. Matter of fact, Bernie Sanders was live tweeting the debate, and he actually stopped towards the end because of how boring the debate actually became. And it really did get really boring towards the end. So that's what's going on. I want to recap a couple of things. Everyone thinks Carly Fiorina won. And watching it, just to be honest, watching Carly Fiorina live, I can see why people think she won. But when I sobered up and woke up this morning and recapped some of the things that she was saying, Carly Fiorina is out of her damn mind. She really is. And I want to start with this thing about Russia. Now, everyone, you can join the conversation, 857-600-0518. You know how to do that. You can now text the show. I've posted the link. If you want to send a text message to the show that you want to participate that way, you're more than welcome to. You can text our text line, which is 617-453-3415. But Carly Fiorina is out of her mind. I'm not going to talk about the fact that she ruined the company, laid off over 30,000 people, all those things that she's running on her business credentials. And she was, for all intents and purposes, the highlight of her career is actually a low light, right? However, what she said last night with regard to Planned Parenthood and what she said with regard, more importantly to me, with regard to Russia and Vladimir Putin, Carly Fiorina has lost her mind. She essentially wants to start the Cold War over again. And I'm wondering how much we should take her words. How much should we give credence to her words? Was she serious about rebuilding the Sixth Fleet and rebuilding our missile defense in Poland and not talking with Vladimir Putin, the only country with arguably about the same amount of nukes that we have? we want to start the Cold War over again. And I wonder how much of that was just her trying to make it seem like she could be strong on foreign policy, or how much of it was she trying to overcompensate because of the mindset of a lot of Americans, not just conservatives, but a lot of men and a lot of women who don't believe that women are strong enough to handle foreign policy issues, are strong enough to are tough. Right. I think maybe she was overcompensating for the fact that that she was a woman, because what she said was ridiculous. If she was saying something reasonable, if she said something along the lines of, we will communicate with Vladimir Putin, but we'll also put pressure on Vladimir Putin. Okay, that's reasonable. That is tough. That is something that we would expect from any leader. We've got you. But she tried to come off as drawing a red line, hardliner, neoconservative hawk with the country that we need to keep open lines of communication with. That's the thing. So this whole idea of, let's just dismiss Vladimir Putin and restart the Cold War, I think was very telling in the sense of Carly Fiorina trying to come off as a tough politician. But I think you oversold it. I think she oversold it in the sense that there's just there's nothing substantive to be gained from drawing a hard line with Vladimir Putin, especially when we already know exactly who they are and what they represent. I agree. They are not a fair player. They are not a good actor in the Syrian crisis. But they're honest about it. They have taken the side clearly. They have taken the side of Assad. They are on the side of the administration, the Assad administration, and they are supporting him. Just like Iran, they're on the side of Iran. They're on the side of China, and of course, China is not necessarily taking sides. China tries to be. Anyway, we'll get back to China. But here's the thing: we know exactly who Putin is. We know exactly what they represent. The solution to Vladimir Putin is not trying to be a hardliner with Vladimir Putin, because Vladimir Putin is trying to be a hardliner in Russia. And so if you get one idiot who is just going to run their mouth, and then another idiot in office who's going to run their mouth and escalate. She wants to engage in aggressive military campaigns. And I'm trying to think of the precise word. I don't want to misquote her. Aggressive military exercises. She wants to engage in aggressive military exercises to show a show of strength. She obviously has neocons on her advisory board. Military exercises are provocative in nature. They simply are. You do not engage in military exercises without wanting to signal to someone else that you're willing to go to war with them. We don't have any reason to signal to Russia that we want to escalate tensions between the United States and Russia. There's no valid reason on the table right now. Syria is not a valid enough reason. Syria may be becoming a proxy war. I will give you that, with Russia standing on the side of Assad and the United States not wanting to back up Assad, but we're needing to arm some rebels and we need to train rebels to fight ISIS. I get that. So Syria may become a proxy war. However, there is no reason. Somebody, and if I'm just missing it, maybe I drank too much last night and I'm completely missing something important to say that we want to signal to Russia that we want to escalate with Russia. Here's the thing. There is absolutely no need to do that, because we already know the end game. Here's what you don't do. You don't talk, and I'm trying not to curse this morning, but I don't have any other words. You don't talk shit with people who you already know exactly how this is going to play out. You're not afraid of them. Russia's not afraid of us. We're not afraid of Russia. There's no reason to be. That we already know exactly how that story is going to end. So Carly Fiorina, please tell me how your rhetoric, how your aggressive military exercises, how you're arming or rebuilding the Sixth Fleet, and how rebuilding the missile defense system in Poland, right? How is that going to change our relationship with Russia to fix anything? If you play poker, you do not go all in with somebody who can also go all in, and you both have the same exact hand. And that wasn't a good analogy, right? That really wasn't a good analogy, but that's the best I have this morning. I'm doing the best I can this morning. I just got it back from, I had a drive downtown to get keys to get into my place. All right, that's why I'm late. But you get the point. There is absolutely nothing to be gained from this. And then, so that's Carly Fiorina. I think we can dismiss that entire segment of Carly Fiorina trying to be tough. We can dismiss that as her trying to come off tough in a room full of men and in a room full of conservatives who generally probably don't think a woman is going to be as tough as a man. Here's the thing. I don't think Hillary Clinton has that problem whatsoever. I don't think there's one person who thinks Hillary Clinton is not going to be tough, right? So she has no need to give us empty rhetoric that could cause an unnecessary escalation. And that's exactly what Carly Fiorina did last night. Empty rhetoric that will cause an unnecessary escalation and ultimately lead back to a new Cold War. For what purposes? Syria? Hell, we've already let 11 million people leave Syria. We've already let 250,000 people get killed. We've already, pretty much just taken a non-interventionist role. So what would be the purpose? Because Vladimir Putin is backing up the Assad regime. Well, there's a good chance the Assad regime is not going anywhere. That's already proven. So why? What purposes would it be? What would we gain from all of the empty rhetoric from Carly Fiorina last night? And it stood out the most to me because she's coming out as the apparent winner. I don't get it. I don't get it. To me, it doesn't make sense. I think there is a mindset in conservatism that actually believes that in 2015 and going forward, that the United States of America can run through the international community as a single hegemon, as a single world power that everyone has to be beholden to. And that's simply not the case. There are other actors on the stage who rival our nuclear power. Let's forget military power. We're not going to go to, you kind of skip with China and Russia. You skip military capacity and you go directly to the conversation on nuclear capacity, right? The United States cannot run through the international community as though everyone has to be afraid of them. Because, especially if you're talking militarily, right? We can cripple Russia so much more economically than we could cripple them militarily without doing damage to ourselves. And this is what I don't think people realize. Everything, you don't always show power on the international stage by how big your guns are. Sometimes you show power by how much you can control their economy. Sometimes you show power by how much you can manipulate their allies, how much you can manipulate other actors in that region. There are so many ways of putting pressure on Putin, which, by the way, with regard to Syria, I don't really believe that we have a need to put pressure on Vladimir Putin, because we know exactly who he is, and we know he's not going to change, and we know he's not going to stop arming and defending and supporting Assad. We already know that. So once we know who he is and what he's going to do, there is no reason for us to try to put pressure on him with regard to Syria, especially because we need Syria, the Assad regime, to also fight against ISIS. See, there is a cluster F of problems going on in Syria right now. And the reason I'm bringing Syria into this mix is because this answer that Carly Fiorina gave was in response to the question on Syria and Vladimir Putin's involvement. There are so many actors. There's at least 4 actors in Syria right now competing for the territory and competing for control. ISIS is one of them. There are 2 rebel factions, and then there is the Assad regime. We need every actor in Syria to be fighting against ISIS for the benefit of American allies in the region. So we have a vested interest, even though we will never say it publicly, even though we'll never probably publicly send finances or arms to help. But we need the Assad regime to win this fight against ISIS. We would prefer that it would be the rebel forces that would win the fight against ISIS and the fight against Assad, but it doesn't look like that's going to happen because we have not supported the rebels soon enough with enough. All of that to say, is there any reasonable thinkers in the GOP campaign that understands that we cannot win on the international stage by threatening violence or enacting violence? Every time we do that, we break something and we make it worse. We destabilize the entire region with the Iraq war, which is going to get me to the next point about Jeb Bush and his claim that about his brother keeping us safe. Right. I will talk about that, but I have to finish this conversation on Carly Fiorina. Now, watching live, she had she's a tough speaker. She is a great speaker, and I would applaud her speaking capacity because she got my attention. She got my attention and I listened, and even her closing statement was actually really great. She's really playing to the gender politics, which I get. It's really great. You know, do your thing in that regard. I liked her reference to Lady Liberty and Lady Justice, and just her toughness in her tone and her security with herself and her she had so many positive things last night, but she wrapped it in some of the most ignorant policy positions that you will ever hear. And I wonder if anyone is going to take the time to realize that she may have been impressive, but she was impressive with stupidity and with ridiculous policies, with statements that were not factual, with all kinds of rhetoric that is going to make America, weaken America in the end. This is the thing we argue about in my international relations courses and on the graduate level. We always argue about this fact. Sometimes, let's start here. At the end of the day, every nation wants to obtain power and more power, more capabilities. So, and that's the bottom line. Whether or not they're ideological, that's second to the fact that they need power to get their ideologies pushed. Whether or not they are peaceful, they need power to maintain peace. Whether or not they just want economic growth, they need power to obtain economic growth. Power is the end all to be all on the international stage. That is what everyone wants. That is what everyone goes after. And power is the means to the end of their ideologies or their goals. Sometimes when you wield military strength, you weaken your power on the international stage. And I think that is a concept that the Republican Party does not understand and never has understood. Your military strength does not equate power, not in the international, in the interdependent community that we live in now. Military strength is a component of power, but it is not the pure definition of power. And sometimes when you wield your military strength, I'm going to say it again, you weaken your power. Going to war actually has the ability to weaken you if it is not a strategic war, a meaningful war, a useful war, and you get the results that you need. We see this in Iraq. Our position in the Middle East was weakened because we went to war in Iraq. We did not gain more power in that region because of the war. We lost power in that region because of the war. And now we have all of these hawks on stage trying to prove that they're super tough, talking rhetoric that will ultimately lead to an escalation. And I don't think they realize that they are going to weaken the American position in the international community. And they think that because Barack Obama talks with some of our enemies. Or they think because Barack Obama has opened Cuba back up, or because Barack Obama has communications with people that they think are our enemies, they think that Barack Obama has weakened our position in the international community, when I would argue that our position is stronger because of the communications, the open lines of communication, the opening up of Cuba, the opening up of Iran. Essentially, that's what the Iranian deal is going to do, is going to open up Iran to the international community. Our position will be stronger because we are opening them up, not to the might of our military. We're opening them up to the might of our economy. And they will become dependent on this trade. And so they will behave accordingly. Why don't these people understand this simple concept? Every fight you get into has the potential of making you weaker. So why would you threaten a fight when you can absolutely gain more power by opening up communication and opening up trade? It just makes sense to people who are reasonable. But last night, the winner of the debate, I think, was Carly Fiorina. Donald Trump was second. And we'll talk a little bit about Donald Trump. The people who were just useless on stage, the people I forgot were there, and maybe because I had one too many drinks. Ben Carson, he's got to go down on the polls. What the hell was Ben Carson wearing? Chris Christie, was he even there? Every time I saw him, it felt like he was talking about food. Then there was Mike Huckabee, who shouldn't even been on that stage. Rand Paul. Like, there were so many people who were completely irrelevant to the conversations that were being had. And maybe that's a good thing, because the conversations that were had were completely imbecilic. Folks, I'm going to take a quick break. I don't have my time frame up because I started 15 minutes late. But when I come back, I want to talk more. I want to talk about Jeb Bush and his accusation that his brother kept us safe. What? We'll be back after this.
When you're ready to lose weight, why count, track, and worry over every meal? Jenny Craig makes it simple. Just walk into a neighborhood Jenny Craig center or give us a call. You'll meet your dedicated personal consultant who helps you reach your goals. Together, you'll pick out delicious Jenny Craig foods that you'll love and design a menu that fits your life. And the best part is that you can get started losing weight right away. Don't wait any longer to take advantage of our best offer ever. Call 1-800-JENNY20 or visit jennycraig.com.
This is the sound of salmonella gyrating on your undercooked chicken. And it looks like Mom might be taking it out a little early. Don't let salmonella get funky with your chicken. On average, 1 in 6 Americans will get a foodborne illness this year. So use a thermometer to cook each type of meat to the right temperature. Keep your family safe at foodsafety.gov. Brought to you by the USDA, HHS, and the Ad Council.
On the next episode of Recipes for Disaster.
I'm making beef sliders for my friend Sandy. Nana taught me to always pull meat off the grill early so it's extra juicy.
Use a food thermometer to ensure ground beef is 160 degrees, or you could make people really sick. Sandy didn't think twice about the slider she ate until yoga class, when a nasty case of food poisoning turned her downward-facing dog into upward-moving lunch. Watch Recipes for Disaster at foodsafety.gov and learn the steps Maria unwittingly leaves out. Brought to you by the USDA, HHS, and the Ad Council.
When I grow up, I want to be a new pair of blue jeans.
When I grow up, I want to be a kid's first computer. Warm fleece on a cold day.
I want to be a bike that races around the country.
I want to be a bench on a forest trail.
When I grow up, I don't want to be a piece of garbage. And if you recycle me, I won't be.
Give your garbage another life. Recycle. Learn how at iwanttoberecycled.org. Brought to you by Keep America Beautiful and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to the Benjamin Dixon Show. If you're hearing his voice, you're hearing the voice of reason.
Welcome back. Okay, So let me go to the next thing. The most obvious, the most glaring lie that was put forward. What two glaring lies? The Planned Parenthood lie, talking about the video. Everyone saw the video. Yes, we all saw the video, and we saw the edited versions of the video, and then we saw the unedited versions of the video. Yet the fact that everyone, including I believe there's an investigation done on it, an actual investigation done on those videos, and the results of the investigation show that it was so highly edited that it was almost criminal, right? The assertions that were being made and the statements that were how can I say this? Anyway, it was highly edited enough to make people say things that they were not trying to say or that they did not say. But I don't think that fact matters. The truth does not matter to this Republican Party. They don't care one bit that these videos were faked by Planned Parenthood. They don't. Now, I think Carly Fiorina who was that? Was it Carly Fiorina or was it one of my guests? Somebody pointed out the fact that Ben Carson actually did research on fetal tissue, right? I think it was actually one of my guests last night. And I remember that from the original debate about Planned Parenthood. So there's a glaring hypocrisy there about Planned Parenthood, especially with Ben Carson, when he's done research on fetal tissue. Okay. And then the fact that most people, there are so many diseases, and I don't even have to go into this. There's so many benefits of the research on fetal tissue that every American actually has probably been touched by the benefits of that research. That on top of the fact that the videos were so highly edited that you cannot take anything from them substantive or meaningful, all of that combined. But the Republicans seem to believe the exact opposite. They seem to believe that these videos were the biblical truth. And maybe they're accepting it with a sense of faith. They're accepting it on faith, just like they do religion, right? But anyone with an objective view of reality realizes that if they saw, and here's the thing, maybe a lot of people have not seen the unedited video. So I would try to find the link and I'll share it with you, and hopefully you can spread the unedited video. But anyone who saw the unedited video and has an objective view of reality realizes that there was nothing there. There were no bodies being sold, no body parts being sold for profit. But that doesn't matter. Neither does the fact. Here's another reality that does not matter to the Republican Party. The fact that Jeb Bush's brother, George W. Bush, did not keep America safe. You don't get credit after the fact. You don't get credit after you dropped the ball and ignored the intelligence on bin Laden, which directly pointed to an attack on the United States, his intent to attack the United States using airplanes rather. You do not get credit after that test is already over. This lie amongst, how did he keep us safe? With the Patriot Act? How did he keep us safe? By making us go through to be scanned and probed at the airport where everyone could see everything we have, see all of our junk? Is that how he kept us safe? If that's how he kept us safe, then why did he not keep us safe on 9/11? So this assertion, this untruth that is promulgated by the Republican Party that George W. Bush kept us safe is a complete lie. And I cannot believe that it went pretty much unchallenged on stage last night. How do you get credit? That's like saying, you know, I'm trying to draw an analogy and I don't have anything as absurd as that. You get in a car accident, you total a car, and so you don't go driving after that. And then you get credit for being a good driver. That's about as close as I can get, because, you know, it's hard to draw an absurd analogy to compare with what Jeb Bush was saying last night. Caller, you're live on the air. What's your name, comment, and or question?
Yeah, this is John from Louisiana.
John,
I've actually called you before. I was actually the guy that told you about the white backlash on Twitter.
Thanks for the yeah. Great to have you, John.
Yes, sir. I tried watching those debates, debate or whatever you call it last night, it was really killing me. I really felt like I lost some brain cells because there's a lot of intellectual dishonesty that goes on there, and you can't draw anything of substance from him. It's more like you're just cheering for a team or something.
Exactly.
I don't know. I can't. I wanted to kind of speak on two things. One it's from your show yesterday. I know I don't have much time. I'm not going to take up much, but it's about the guy that called in. He's a friend of yours, and he was asking why there's no liberal equivalent. Progressive equivalent to a media to
Rush Limbaugh.
keep us engaged as much as conservative media. And I think you let him off the hook a little bit easy. What you were telling him, that we read.
Yeah.
What conservative media does is it appeals to your emotions to keep you engaged. And a lot of those people that consume it, they do not think critically about it. They don't check it. So whatever narrative is being put forth, it becomes their thoughts. And that's the real difference between progressives. We actually challenge ideas. We even question our own to see if we're right more often. Not all the time, but more often. That's pretty much the progressive thinking. We're more critical thinking, and why conservatives tend to be more emotional kind of thinking, and that's why they stay engaged. And the second point I want to talk about is when your friend Fred, who I actually liked him, by the way, but he brought up something on some point. He was saying the white supremacists in the Democratic Party. That gets on my last nerves. Reason being because we as progressives allow them to get away with that. That's because we don't explain things in context. We'll
now,
just
hang on, John, let me ask you a question.
I'm sorry.
No.
Yes, sir.
A clarification. Did he say that on the show yesterday, or did he say that last night during the debate?
He said it last night during the debate.
Okay,
Right. I was talking about the other guy. The other guy, I think he's in Mississippi or Missouri that called in.
Okay.
That was my first point. Yeah,
okay,
I don't remember. You said he was a good guy.
Yeah.
I don't remember it yet. And then I was talking about your friend Fred last night. Well, I actually liked that, the back and forth that was going on. I was just talking about, he mentioned this. Somebody was saying something to him, and then he said that actually.
Yeah.
And we don't actually just really go. The real reason, like you said before, is that black people tend to not vote for the Republican Party because they're voting against it rather than for the Democratic Party. And it was simply because the Republican Party made a concerted effort after Barry Goldwater, who was not a racist, by the way, we all know, started the NCAACP or whatever chapter in Arizona, and was an intellectual first and foremost. But the Republican Party decided to go after the white backlash against civil rights.
Yeah.
And we don't. And there was a genesis that started because they like to say, "Oh, we're the party of Lincoln." Not true, because after Teddy Roosevelt tried to run for a third term, the progressive wing split from the Republican Party.
Absolutely.
Because he was opposed to Taft's conservatism, which is different from the conservatism of the day.
Right.
Today is neoconservatism. It's radical, but you can't tell people that. And then the progressivism got absorbed into the New Deal Democrats. And that's when black people really started voting Democrat back then. But anyway,
yeah,
I don't mean to go on.
You gave me a lot. You gave me a lot to open up and dig into, and your points are absolutely on point. And you even called me out. You called me out for letting my friend off the hook yesterday, and I did.
I'm sorry, but I listen to your show all the time, man. Like I say, you're doing well.
Thanks
Keep
a lot,
on, man. Keep on doing what you're doing. Glad to talk to you.
My pleasure, man. Thanks for having you. Thanks for calling in. And yeah, you're absolutely right. I did. Fred is my friend. We go way back, and so in all fairness, that's why I don't have him on the show often, because I take it easy on him because we're actually friends. But you're right. Let's go to that point, and then I want to circle back to I want to tie all that back into the debate. Republicans and conservatives, you have two different types. We have actually three different types, but right now let's just divide it into two types. You have those who are the establishment, who understands how to play the people who are merely emotional. right? They understand it is a game. It is a tactic. You constantly play and throw fodder out to the emotional people, and they will stay tuned in. They will stay hooked on television. That's why Fox is number one. That's why Donald Trump is number one. And I don't think he's going to slip to number two after this debate. I think Ben Carson is going to slip way down, and Carly Fiorina is going to slip up to number two after this debate, because Republicans, the huge portion of their base is completely emotion based. They are afraid. They are fearful. They're terrified of Russia. They're terrified of Mexicans. They're terrified of Black Lives Matter. They're terrified of everything. Hell, they're terrified of the damn shadows, right? So it's easy to keep those type of people thoroughly engaged with nothing but empty rhetoric. No actual policies were given last night. Nothing that could actually work. Nothing that would be a viable solution to any of the very real problems that we are facing. But that does not matter, because their emotions were catered to. That Donald Trump gave them all the red meat that he wanted, even though he got quiet there in the middle. He got really quiet in the middle, and it kind of got boring. Be honest with you, the show got boring, and they need Donald Trump for those ratings. But you're absolutely right. And with regard to everything you're saying about the conservative party today versus the conservatives of old, that's absolutely true. I have a couple of shows on that, and I want you guys to go check those out, and we can have that conversation at another time. But in terms of this debate, how do you equate what happened post 9/11 with George W. Bush keeping us safe? That's because you're dealing with people like John just said, and John just said, you're dealing with people who are completely emotional. And it's easy to make you think that this person who is filling you up with fear is the same person that's going to keep you safe. That is all. I'm reading some comments from YouTube. That is all that George W. Bush did. That is all that Fox News did. That is all that the conservatives did post 9/11. All they did was feed America fear incessantly. And they feel like these are the people who kept them safe. We are not dealing with rational people, and we're not dealing the most. And I hate to say this, because Lindsey Graham is a hawk. Lindsey Graham is a warmongering hawk. He would be dangerous in the White House. But in terms of being reasonable and rational in a conversation, in a debate, and actually talking across the aisle and not being this absolutist conservative where you want to vilify every Democrat and make every Democrat the enemy. And so you end up getting nothing done instead of vilifying Hispanics. You know, Lindsey Graham was pretty much the only rational person out of each debate. And that's saying something, because Lindsey Graham is the most bloodthirsty warmongering hawk of them all. I really don't know what this GOP is going to do, because Jeb Bush, I don't think Jeb Bush now at this point stands a chance of winning. Marco Rubio doesn't stand a chance of winning. Carly Fiorina does. Ben Carson does not. Donald Trump still does stand a chance of winning. John Kasich, I liked his hair last night, to be honest with you. I think he'll do good on the show. Question for Twitter. Will they say that Obama kept us safe for the last 7-8 years? No, they won't. They will not. They absolutely will not. All right, folks, when I come back, I want to take some more of your calls, 857-600-0518, and we will finish up debunking some more of the lies from that thing that happened last night. We'll be back after this.
You're tuned in to the Benjamin Dixon Show. Join the conversation, 857-600-0518.
Looking for the right business opportunity? Need the right product, the right marketing plan, and the absolute best training in the world? Well, look no further. The Elite Team. Every leader in time excels. They believe the key ingredients in becoming successful in life and in business are just a keystroke away. Go to www.eliteteamsite.com. That's www.eliteteamsite.com. The Elite Team has a system in place that will move you closer to achieving your goals and dreams. Visit www.eliteteamsite.com or TonyFlemingEnterprises.com today.
College is important, but it can also be expensive. College Planning Services is a group of educators, administrators, counselors, and other licensed professionals that work together to provide the necessary services, networks, and information to reach students that are serious about getting a college education. College Planning Services partners with financial institutions, corporate sponsors, and other major players in the global market to strategize in building a pool of information regarding financial aid, scholarships, and funding information to assist students in preparing to access the essential resources to build upon their path to an educational future. Learn more at collegeplanningtoday.com and let us help you start your college career.
Do you want to take your business to the next level? Ultimate Business Solutions provides the support you need to increase your customer base and sell more products and services online. Specializing in graphic arts, web development, and internet marketing, Ultimate Business Solutions creates the face of your business. If you're looking for a custom logo, dynamic website, or popping marketing material, call Ultimate Business Solutions today at 404-704-2197 or visit www.ultimatebizsolutions.com. Ultimate Business Solutions. Let us create your future.
Do you have tax issues, owe back taxes, or need tax relief? Contact L&B Tax Service today. L&B offers you over 15 years of expertise and first-class tax service for individuals, professionals, and business owners. With nationwide service, you can easily find a location near you. Contact one of our tax professionals through our website, lbtaxservice.com. That's www.lbtaxservice.com. L&B Tax Service Incorporated. Tax professionals that you can trust. You've tuned in to The Benjamin Dixon Show.
Welcome back. Welcome back. All right, so let's see what else did they fuddle over last night. There was a couple of comments on climate change. One thing that stood out about the climate change conversation was Marco Rubio, who essentially said that we're not going to take an economic hit for the sake of saving the environment. Now, he was more hyperbolic in saying that we're not going to tank our economy for the sake of the environment. Well, here's the thing. What good is our economy if we destroy our environment? Right. But simple things like that fall on deaf ears in conservative circles. But in conservative circles, they are completely okay with the idea of deporting 11 million people, which would absolutely tank our economy. So if you're okay with tanking our economy to put out 11 million people because they're illegals, then why would it bother you that we take some hits on the economy to fix our environment? Now, both of those are hyperbolic statements, right? You don't have to tank the economy to fix the to make strides towards remedying climate change, right? You don't have to, but that is the extremes that they want to make it. Likewise, you don't fix immigration by tanking our economy by deporting 11 million people. But these are the ridiculous extremes that they live in. The conversation on drugs and the war on drugs. Actually, I think that was probably one of the best spots for Carly Fiorina when she got really personal and talking about her family having to bury a child to drug addiction. That was a strong point, but it was being overplayed in terms of what needs to be done on the war on drugs. It was crazy hearing them on stage talking as if marijuana was the evil gateway drug that is killing millions of Americans, right? And I'm like, were we living in a parallel universe, but they really were harping on marijuana when most of the world is moving on. Most of the world is getting high and moving on, but they want to stick. And what it is really, and I'm trying not to be dismissive of everything they said, but the reality of everything that they said was playing to the fears of their base and playing to the culture wars, playing the entire Planned Parenthood debate. They know that they're lying, but it plays directly to the culture wars and to the fears and the emotions of their pro-life base. Mike Huckabee, his only moment, which was a stupid moment, but his moment was talking about Kim Davis and freedom of religion, which played directly to the fears of the religious conservative evangelical Christian base, right? And then you have them playing to the fears of Iran, ISIS, and Vladimir Putin, which plays to the fear and the emotions of the neoconservative hawks in their base. Is there anyone in this group who is not a fearmongerer? And is there anyone in the conservative base who is not an emotional, fearful mess? I mean, this is how they win. They won't win the White House, but this is how they win on the state level. This is how they get policy. This is how they run so many state governments. This is how they get rollbacks on Planned Parenthood and defunding Planned Parenthood in Louisiana and in Florida. And you see, when you see Planned Parenthood leave certain communities, you see an increase in pregnancies. You see an increase in abortions. You see an increase in STDs because of all of the things that Planned Parenthood does. But it doesn't matter. 97% of what Planned Parenthood does is beyond, it does not include abortion, and is so beneficial to help alleviate the demand for abortions. That doesn't matter so long as they can play, those politicians can play to the emotions of the people who are terrified of Planned Parenthood, because Planned Parenthood is the devil. These are the people we're dealing with. They're not rational. They're completely emotional. And the rational people in the Republican Party are manipulators and manipulating the emotional people in the party. It is a very symbiotic relationship, codependency. They are enabling each other's vices. And this is how they win. Something was coming to me about Jeb Bush, and it escapes me right here. But I want to open up the lines, 857-600-0518. A couple of comments here coming in on YouTube, saying that next, hang on, let me read that comment again, that 4 people will be gone after this debate, from Davin. Davin says that 4 people will be gone after this debate. And I can't see the rest of your comment for some reason, but I agree. I think by the next debate, we're going to see, let's start a poll. I think we will not have 2 debates. 2 debates will be done. We'll be in 1 debate, and I think we'll have at most 10. I think they're going to cut out that 11th person and go with 10, because it was no longer entertaining, and because it was just attacks back and forth. And the few things that they said trying to appear to have policy positions were completely ridiculous. And the most ridiculous of all was Carly Fiorina's wanting to start the Cold War over again. It was absurd all night long. John did tweet last night, and I got a kick out of it. I didn't see it till this morning, John, that his IQ, that he needed me to drink more because watching it reduced his IQ. I can't agree with you more. And I really, honestly, I had a, anyway, you guys, if you saw the show last night, you knew what time it was last night. All right, folks, I'm going to start shutting it down. I did start late, but I do want to end relatively on time because of all of the commitments that I have. I want to thank all of you who joined us last night. A lot of people stayed to the very end, and kudos to you. That is a big thing. Before I go, I will take this one last call. Caller, you are live on the air. What is your name, comment, and or question?
Hey there, I'm Christy. Glad to see that you recovered from last night.
Yes, yes, I made it back. I made it here on time.
Anyway, I'm calling because what I saw was a lot of platitudes, not policies, sound bites, and there's no sincerity in it. And I noticed that everybody kind of gathered under the same 8 or 9 subjects. Mm-hmm. And that just, by the time I was done, I had a headache. I was just nauseous. It was Reagan the Great.
I had a headache too, and I was nauseous too, but I think for different reasons. Go ahead.
Everybody kind of congregated under Reagan the Great and marijuana the gateway and 9/11 and immigration, and like somehow translated to me as Mexican plantations during that.
Right.
The evils of Planned Parenthood and the Christian values, one having more than the other. Obama the destroyer, of course. And then the hammer crushing engines of war and who could make bigger war.
Right.
And it was just like, wow.
Yeah.
Not a serious, nothing. It was crazy. And nobody asked a follow-up question. I was really, really disappointed and disheartened with CNN because they didn't force them to do anything.
Tell me what you think. Do you think that the Fox News moderators, do you think that they did a better job than Jake Tapper and the CNN crew?
No, this was the same show.
Okay.
Different day.
Same show,
different day, but the same S word.
You know what? I would say the only reason I would give more points to Fox News moderators is because they tried to do follow-ups. It didn't work, right? It didn't. It backfired in some cases with Megyn Kelly, rather, not Megan Fox.
Megyn Kelly.
Megyn Kelly. So at least they tried. I don't honestly, and maybe I was a little out of it, but help me. Did Jake Tapper ask one single meaningful follow-up question?
Not that I could get to. I mean, I was shocked at the last questions.
Yeah.
And that I was like, wait a minute, what? I just lost how many brain cells over 3 hours? I can never get that time back. I have been cursed by the GOP gods. And I didn't even do anything to them.
Christy, thanks so much for your call. We appreciate you. Everyone, I want to thank all of you for your calls and your tweets and your comments. We had fun last night. And I swear I wanted more commercials because the real debate was what we had on our show between Fred, the Black conservative, and April Rain. So I want you all to go sign up for my email list because I want to send you links to their sites and to what they do and who they are. Thanks to Kevin Moses for joining in. Kevin is the guy who I quote a lot on my show. He's my backup brain, right? He's my backup storage. He's the one who actually calls me out when I'm wrong on stuff and points out the logical flaws in my arguments when I occasionally have them. I don't think I have them often. So that was Kevin. April, she's been on the show. She hasn't been on the show recently, but I'm going to try my best to get her on the show more often because I love her commentary. Fred's my boy. And if you ever want a good argument, let me know and maybe I'll bring him on and just let him, we'll talk about why Reagan was not great and Barack Obama is far better than Ronald Reagan. So those are the folks who were with me. Rihanna Pygos, thanks so much for joining me last night. I want to thank all of you for joining me. We will do it again. Hopefully next time I'm trying to plan a show with David Pakman from the David Pakman Show, and we'll try to do a live response with him and some other people so we can just have a good time in the next debate. That is all I have. Go to BPD, the BPD show on Twitter. Go to thebenjamindixonshow.com. Sign up for our email list and for our blog so we can send communications out to you. Go to facebook.com/The Benjamin Dixon Show. I love your messages. When you guys send me messages, it really means a lot. Thank you so much. I don't want to pander anymore. You guys have a great day.
And until that moment comes, when we, the Americans, are able to accept the fact that on that continent we are trying to forge a new identity for which we need each other, that I am not a ward of America. I am one of the people who built the country. Until this moment.
And we are brothers. It's not a question of Jews or Christians or Muslims. We're all in the same boat.
Which we need each other.
Love is a condition so powerful. It may be that which holds the stars in the firmament.
Until this moment.
Love.
Until this moment.
Love.
Until this moment.
I come to you today to say that we can build a newer and better nation. I say we can do so, that we must do so, and that we will do so.
You've tuned in to The Benjamin Dixon Show. Visit us online at www.thebenjamindixonshow.com.
So you get nothing. You lose. Good day, sir.